Our main story this morning, a call for people across Norfolk to do more to stop food waste. For the last year, the Food Savvy project has been getting households and businesses in Norfolk and Suffolk to take action to prevent food ending up in landfill. It's supported by the charity Hubbub, which has surveyed 2,000 people in Norfolk and Suffolk. Among the incredible things they've found is that the average household is throwing away £810 worth of food a year, which shows you how much food waste is hitting us all in the wallet. It also found that just 15% realised that food waste contributes more to climate change than plastic. I'm not sure I realised that, to be honest. Later in the programme, we'll be talking to Food Savvy, and we'll be visiting a cafe in Harleston that's joined a scheme to offload unwanted cakes, if there's ever such a thing, and other goodies. But first, Hannah Pye from Norwich is trying to stop food waste and has written a blog about it. Her blog is called Life of Pye, which works very nicely, doesn't it, Hannah? Nice to see you. Thanks for coming in this morning so early. Food waste. This is something that you've been on a bit of a personal crusade about, haven't you, through your blog. Tell me why you decided to do it and how difficult you found it.
Well, food waste is a massive problem. We've just heard how much food is wasted each year, especially by Norfolk and Suffolk households. And me personally, when I started to look at how much food I was wasting, I was shocked to see that I'm wasting quite a lot myself. So much time and effort and produce is used to go into making these food products, and just to think that they're sitting in our fridges and then at the end of the week we're binning them is pretty horrendous. So it's definitely something we need to sort out.
So it's the food that you were wasting or throwing away, was it just you didn't get around to eating it before it reached its sell-by date, or was it you were making big platefuls and then not finishing it all? Why were you wasting so much food?
I think it was more that I was purchasing too much, especially fruit and vegetables, salad, that kind of thing. So I started the challenge at the start of this year, and I was monitoring my food waste over a couple of weeks. The main thing was also takeaways. I realised that actually when I'm ordering a takeaway I tend to over-order, which probably a lot of people do, and a lot of it was going in the bin, unfortunately, because I didn't want to reheat it and eat it the next day. So yeah, mainly fruits and vegetables, salads, that kind of thing.
Yeah, don't we all do that with takeaways, by the way? You always just think, I'll just have one of those and one of those, and yeah, it very rarely all goes, does it? That's absolutely right. And I know even when you were making a concerted effort, I was looking at your blog earlier, even in the weeks you were making a really concerted effort, some weeks you were still ending up with 2 and 3 kilos of food that you were wasting, weren't you?
Yes, so this was mainly things like if I'd buy a big pot of yoghurt and I'd only have a couple of spoonfuls, it's kind of a tie between trying to reduce my plastic waste but then also reducing food waste. So I'd tend to buy a bigger pot of yoghurt to stop using so much plastic. However, I then end up wasting most of the yoghurt because you have to eat it within 3 days of opening. So it was kind of hard to have that balance between trying to stop my food waste but also trying to prevent my plastic waste as well.
Yeah, and this is we were talking about this earlier on before we came on the air this morning, and Richie, who you heard from a moment ago, was saying how difficult this is, because one of the ways that you make food last longer, if you're a supermarket and you want it to last longer on the shelves and last longer when it gets to people's homes, is plastic packaging. So yes, whilst making food last longer, you're then using more plastic. So one problem is trying to solve one problem is actually causing another one, isn't it? Yes,
definitely, yeah. But I think a lot of the manufacturers are taking this into account, and there are a lot more food processors and packaging coming onto the market now, which will hopefully reduce that.
So what are the top tips you can give us, having really made a concerted effort to stop food waste? What worked for you?
There's a couple of things, really. So the first thing would be to actually just plan. I know it's so simple, but when I actually planned my meals and left a few gaps for the odd takeaway or the odd meal out, I found that I actually reduced my food waste. Also, making enough food to then have for lunch the next day. I'd use my leftovers rather than just binning them. And then also knowing the difference between use-by dates and best-before dates is really important.
Yeah, when it comes to leftovers, it's something that our parents' and grandparents' generation took great pride in, using leftovers and having meals that would come back for 2 or 3 days in a row and be reheated and rehashed. Maybe that's something we've got to get back into doing, would you say?
Yes, definitely, yeah. So try and get as many meals out of a packet of potatoes or carrots as you can, really.
Yeah, I think there's something